Hello, everyone. Hope you all had a Merry Christmas. And I tell you, while you were out opening your presents, some things were happening. It's always the way it does. When we get to Christmas, that's their favorite time for pulling shenanigans. So when we had the Federal Reserve declared, it was on a Christmas Eve when everybody was gone. And this just happened again. Some amazing things happened. There's some good things and there's some scary things, but this is a call to action. This is the time. Absolutely, for me, this is the time that God said, I'm going to hold you in the cleft of the rock until everything is ready to be exposed, and then I'll bring you out, and the truth that I have given you will open people's eyes, and the truth will set them free. So with that, I'd like to go to my favorite prophet, and I'd like to tell you what he had to say about what I think was just triggered over this Christmas holiday. So it's Kim Clement, and it was June 14th, 2014, and here's what he had to say. A rendering is coming in the fall. Many will fall and many will rise from the dust. But remember, when these tremors and when these tumultuous moments happen, listen, I will make it so the fall can do its work in America. So we've got all kinds of things coming out. We've got what's happening in Venezuela. We've got disclosures about the election fraud in the 2020 election coming up. And I just moments before we went on this, a friend of mine sent me a video, and let's go all the way back to 9/11. We have to have all of these secrets that have been hidden from us exposed. So the video that I just got was just a few seconds long, but what it was a picture of the Pentagon. And remember, that's all those years ago, but basically the Pentagon had this little hole in it and this great big giant plane with those long wings, and everybody said that couldn't have possibly fit. So what I just witnessed not 5 minutes ago was a skunk missile blowing into the Pentagon. The truth is coming out. It's coming out. It's going to open our eyes, and just exactly what Kim Clement said is happening. The truth is coming out in the fall, and many will fall because of the truths that are released. And let's go on down. And he had another prophecy that goes after that. And it was on, if we go to the next slide, it was on June 14th, 2014. And he says, winner will say, I will make them happy. Boy, when I saw what happened this weekend, I was practically dancing. He goes on to say, I have chosen each season to manifest something. My will shall be done. So he's telling us we're going to be happy in the winter and happy at Christmas time. And with what just happened, folks, if you really realize it, you should be extremely, extremely happy. Silver is going through the roof. So if you have been listening to the Lord, if you're one of those that the Lord has chosen to give a massive transfer of wealth to, you should be celebrating, because silver is going to go sky high. Just hold on, and we're going to have some more disclosures about what's going to happen to silver. But you're already wealthy. And if you invested in our XRP, what's going to happen very, very soon is all the legislation required in order to bring XRP online and start using it is already happening. We're waiting for the Clarity Act, and we're waiting for the BlackRock ETFs. They say there's going to be up to $3 billion flowing into XRP in one single day when that ETF is basically released. And what that's going to do, according to Jack Claver, is it's going to create a shortage. It's going to gobble up all the available XRP out there, and retail buyers who haven't bought are going to get locked out. So what's going to happen is, both in silver and with XRP, we have a very short window to acquire anything else. But if you already have it, then you're already wealthy. The transfer of wealth is on the way to your door. So most of this is for people who still want to try to build additional reserves. You have probably a month, 2 months, 3 months to buy some more XRP, to buy some more silver, and then it's simply not going to be available anymore. So just pay attention, do your homework, and I've got a video in here that I really think you need to see, and we'll get to it in a minute. Let's go on to the next slide, and I want to tell you another aspect of what just happened. Basically, Donald Trump has said, and I've done several shows that take the same position, that the new Green Deal is a scam, and it is the biggest movement to enslave mankind that we've ever had. If you control energy, you control the necessities of life. If you control money, you control necessities of life. What if you control both? What if you control all the minerals and you control all the money and you control the manufacturing and you control the trade, you control everything, and you have the ability to enslave mankind. So what is happening right now is that with everything that happened over the weekend, with the piece of legislation that I'm going to give you a video on in a minute, we just moved into a new era, and we're going to find out that the Green New Deal is a scam intended to enslave us, intended to provide the mechanism to basically confiscate all of the necessities of life. So I'm going to read what I've written here. Next summer, expect the government to trigger a heat wave, triggering a blackout. And what is it all about? Remember, we have HARP. And what they want to do is they want to cause a massive blackout and then declare a national emergency and say, we have to confiscate. Well, we would like you to turn in your silver and turn in your other minerals and so forth and so on. So it will sound like it's not a great emergency, comply, but then we're going to find out when we get to that piece of legislation that if you don't comply, there's some real teeth, just like what happened when they took the silver and when they took the gold. Let's go down to the next slide, and we're going to break that out right in the next slide. So I'm going to go over this slide, and then as I get to the end of it, we're going to play this video. It's only a minute and 25 seconds long. So I think you always need some evidence to prove what you're saying. And I always say history repeats itself. So if we look at these two graphics on this page, you see that executive order was passed on May the 1st in 1933 to confiscate your gold. And then one was passed in 1934 to confiscate your silver. They're going to do it again, except this time they're not going to confiscate gold. They're going to confiscate silver, because this is about getting control of the minerals of the world, because that is the absolute total control mechanism for locking down and controlling all of mankind. The government knows what silver can do, and they're going to take it from us, and they're going to put us in a situation where they control manufacturing. And there's a saying, he who controls money controls the world, but you got to go to the start. You've got to go to the start and say, who controls natural resources controls the ability to produce products which can be sold, which turn into money, which is the genesis of all wealth. And that individual or group then controls everything. So here's what the government's looking to do. Here's what you need to know. This is, you think you've been cagey and you bought silver and you bought gold and they don't know? Unless you bought it from a private party and pay cash, let me tell you, they know. Here's what they've done. This isn't like in 33 or 34. They're far more sophisticated now. So what they're doing is they are able to do all the things that you see on the screen. Any transaction you made from a major dealer is tracked. Anything you wired is tracked. Any safety deposit you have, they know. Imports that come across the border, they know about them. Government takes your digital footprint. Even if they don't know that you bought silver or you bought gold, they know that you're inquiring about it, and so you're on the hit list, and they'll dig in and do some research. Now with that, that should set the stage for what's coming. Let's listen to this next video, and what I want you to do is watch the whole thing. We're going to show you 1 minute, 25 seconds, but you need to watch this whole video from beginning to end, and I want to say something else about it. This is an AI-generated video. I believe that what it is basically the white hats headed by Donald Trump, possibly Q, basically feeding us the information we need to know how to stand up to keep these things from happening, so we don't get locked down, so we don't get access to our resources taken away from us, so that we become total and absolute slaves. So this organization is putting out video after video after video, and the AI figure that they have calls himself Asian Guy. You need to watch this one beginning to end, and then you need to start following him, because this is an entire group of men that are basically feeding us intelligence is coming straight from the source. So with that, let's play that video, and then we'll get back into the slide presentation.
Buried it in the fine print. Page 1,247 of a 1,850-page client bill that nobody read. It passed at 2:34 a.m. on Tuesday morning while you were asleep, while the news cycle was distracted by the latest celebrity scandal, while Congress pretended this was just another routine environmental regulation. But it's not routine. It's the legal framework for the largest wealth transfer in American history. And it's not coming from some future dystopian government. It's already law. It was signed yesterday. If you woke up this morning, scrolled through the news, and saw nothing about this, if your favorite financial channel didn't mention it, if your stockbroker didn't call you with a warning, stop right now. Stop. Breathe. Because what I'm about to show you is not conspiracy theory. It's not fear-mongering. It's not clickbait. It's buried in the Federal Register, published by the Department of Energy, and confirmed by 3 separate sources inside the precious metals industry who are terrified to go public. The Critical Minerals Strategic Reserve Authorization Act just gave the federal government the legal authority to inventory, regulate, and, if necessary, requisition private holdings of strategic materials deemed essential to the energy transition. Translation? They can now seize your silver. They can seize your platinum. They can seize your palladium. And they can do it under the banner of saving the planet. In this emergency investigation, I'm going to walk you through the exact language in the bill that opens the door to confiscation.
There you go, folks. There it is. Go watch the entire video from start to finish and watch this man on a regular basis. Subscribe. I'm telling you, he is the voice coming from the White Hats, and this is the information that America needs to know, so that what will happen? We'll stop being divided, we'll stand up, we'll lock arms, and we will understand what's about to be done to us. And if we fight back, we can stop this. We can absolutely stop it. Let's go to the next slide, and I'm going to show you that you have some things that you can do to protect yourself. So if we go to the next slide, here's what's happened. It's not too late for you to take some action. You still have time, a little bit of time at least, to buy some silver, to buy some more XRP, to maybe buy some currencies, but you need to set a plan. And in this video that you just watched, he's going to walk you through exactly step by step what you need to do to prepare for what's coming, to prepare for this confiscation, to get your assets in place so that you can benefit from the wealth transfer. So here are 3 steps that every one of you need to know. Now, he's going to break this down. Asian guy is going to break this down for you, but this is the idea. We have silver coins, and if they are numismatic, they are given exception to this confiscation. So what you can do is you can take your coins, and he'll tell you exactly how to do it. You can go and get them registered, or at least some of them, as numismatic coins, and they will be exempt from confiscation. And then what you can do, which is entirely legal, is if you have enough silver to make it make sense, you can ship it offshore and have it put in vaults. And then you need to know that gold in this instance is not going to be confiscated. It is exempt from this confiscation, because what they're coming after this time is they're coming after silver, because silver is the quintessential metal that we need for the technological revolution that's coming. Without ample amount of silver, we're not going to be able to have the AI that we want to have. We're not going to have quantum computing. We're not going to be able to have the new economic system running on blockchain. We're not going to be able to have all those patents that Donald Trump has arranged to be freed up, 5,915 patents. So silver is essential. Gold is not. So I don't recommend putting a whole lot of money on gold, but if you don't have some, it's a safe haven. You might consider putting some in. We need to basically step forward, get informed, and take action. We need massive public support. If we stand up and we become informed and we know the truth and we stand together, we can stop this. We can stop being put into a slavery system that utterly, completely, and absolutely enslaves it, because it controls all of the necessities of life. Let's go on down, and we're going to break this down, and you're going to see what is happening. Basically, you're going to see coming out of this, there's good news, but there's also scary news. You're going to see the banks are going to fail, because what has happened is here in the United States, we have had for decades paper contracts, meaning that we have an option to buy some silver, but we haven't taken it. And so basically it's not there. But China in particular has millions of ounces of silver that is registered, meaning it's registered to an individual account, and that individual can pick up the phone and say, go into bin such and such and such and such, and I'm sending a truck over right now, and I want you to load my 1,000,000 ounces of silver onto a truck, and they ship it off to to China. That's what just happened. And so on that first slide up in the upper left-hand corner, you're going to see that as of a couple of days ago, silver was selling in the United States at $72, but it was $80 in China. Why? Because our $72 represents paper contracts that can't be filled. The $80 is silver that's in reserve in China that they can fill that order. They've already got it. So that means that there's a squeeze coming on America. And here's what's happening above and beyond that. Basically, once China made this maneuver to get the silver in their possession, they've announced that we need this for strategic purposes for China. And at the same time, Mexico has announced something similar. We need our silver for strategic purposes. And it just so happens that China and Mexico are the two largest silver producers in the world. So that leaves America in a bit of a tight spot. Now, we're going to be okay. We're going to drive that price of silver up, and we're going to bring new mines on. But what we have to do is this. This is all about the Green New Deal. This is all about having all those millions of solar panel farms out there, all those solar panels that are getting damaged by storms and going into the ground, basically into, I'm trying to think of the word. I'm sorry, I'm having brain freeze. Anyway, bottom line is, here's the deal. I've done some shows on solar panels, and if they make a solar panel that's more than 30% efficient, they won't let it on the market. They basically want to give us the most expensive solution for energy that they can, the most vulnerable solution. So wind, Donald Trump has said it, it's a scam. Solar is a scam. And here's something else that just coincidentally happened to happen. Remember those lithium batteries? Well, remember Samsung had phones that were catching on fire, and Tesla's automobiles are catching on fire? It's because the lithium battery has to be charged very, very slowly, and over time it builds these sharp particles inside that can puncture the housing of the battery casing, and you got a fire. So Samsung just made what seems like a marvelous invention. They've basically figured out how to make a solid state battery that lasts 30 years, that can be charged in 10 minutes, that has a 900-mile range. Wow, wonderful. Everybody's going to think we got to go out and buy that sucker. Well, I'm going to tell you something. That's the last thing in the world we want to do, because it consumes silver like you can't believe. It requires multiple times more silver than the lithium batteries. There are better solutions. The better solutions come from the rare earth contracts that Donald Trump is signing. Basic rare earths are used to make magnets, and within that 9,515 patents are some patents on magnets that can be used to run our automobiles. We need to get out from under things that require us to be tied in any way, shape, or form to the grid. So we need to boycott what Samsung is doing. It will suck up our silver. Between that and the solar panels, they want to create a situation where there's no silver available for the rest of the technological revolution that's coming. It's absolutely heinous what they're doing to us. And then look down below with what they've done to short this market with the dollar difference between China and America, $72 versus $80. It's causing a crisis in the banks because they're obligated to deliver silver that they don't have. And it's going to trigger in the next few months, next few weeks, a crisis, making them liable, the banks liable for $1.3 trillion. So I think some of the biggest banks in the world are getting ready to basically be bankrupt. Banks are poised to lose trillions. China and Mexico are saying they're refusing to export silver. Will put a squeeze on the availability of silver for critical U.S. manufacturing. Plan to force confiscation of silver and other critical minerals. Create a slavery system by controlling the necessities of life. That's what's going on. Before they controlled the money. Now they want to control the money, and they want to control all the necessities of life. And we haven't gotten into it, but there's a reason that we have water shortages all over the country. They want to control all the necessities. Let's go down to the next slide. And now we're going into the review section. This is what we had last week. So now you know what China's doing. And here's what I want to say to you. Please don't put your money in investments right now that are going to benefit China. China is putting the squeeze on us in order to shut down our manufacturing. And it's in one way a retaliation against what Donald Trump has done with the tariffs. Over in the far side of that slide, this is for later, assuming that the CCP falls, there are the nations that within Asia that are in proximity to China that will represent investment opportunities for you. But please, right now, let's not send money to China to let our enemy have more power over us. And let's go on down and we're going to see the things that have been staging all along to bring us to this moment where they're executing a plan to control all the necessities of life. Let's go to the next slide, and we're going to see that Donald Trump has initiated the Defense Production Act. And for those who don't know what that is, it was executed in World War II when they basically said to the manufacturers all over the country, you're going to stop making Fords and you're going to make tanks. GM, you're going to stop making airplanes and you're not airplanes, you're going to stop making whatever, and you're going to make Jeeps, whatever it is. Basically, the government has the ability to say that in an emergency, they can direct resources to produce specific things. That's what's coming. That's what's allowing Donald Trump to go in and say, we're going to be getting all the minerals that we need. He's going all over the world, negotiating oil contracts, negotiating lithium contracts, negotiating rare earth contracts, all under the guise of the Defense Production Act, so that we can't be put in a position where our manufacturing is literally, utterly, and completely shut down. So Donald Trump, I want to really stress this. Donald Trump is not the guy causing this. Donald Trump is the guy who inherited this. And I believe it's the white hats that are behind him that are giving this information. So please, go and watch that video that you saw the minute and a half of and start following this guy. It's information, in my opinion, that is coming directly from the White House. So let's go to the next slide, and we're going to review these very quickly. So what Donald Trump's plan is to rebuild America. And to do that, we need massive amounts of natural resources, rare earth, silver, lithium, platinum, etc. And this move that you're seeing, that we're hearing about right now, that was executed as an act of war over the Christmas, is to basically deny us the opportunity for America to be able to rebuild its manufacturing. Because if we rebuild our manufacturing, we then become solvent financially, and we become too powerful for them to be able to beat us. So we have to understand that this is the time that we have to have our eyes open, share this with everybody, and share the stuff from the Asian guy with everybody. We have to understand what's being done to us, and we have to stand united, and we have to stop it from happening. Let's go to the next slide. So this is more of what Donald Trump is doing, his common sense policies. And for those who've been following, you know what the American economic system is. He's restoring it. It is the period following the Civil War for 34 years where America put what? Tariffs on Europe, on England in particular, and developed the Transcontinental Railroad and the Industrial Revolution, and in 34 years became the wealthiest nation in the world. That's what he's doing right now, and they're trying to block it by seeing to it that they cut off the supply of silver and other critical minerals so that our manufacturing facilities have to shut down. Think about it in this way. So silver's going up and up and up and up and up, and who knows how high it's going to go, and people are saying, oh, well, it'll get to a point that it can't go any further. Well, think about this. If you're a manufacturer and you're making some product and you cannot open your assembly line tomorrow morning unless you have silver, you're going to pay whatever you have to pay to get it, because the cost of going out of business or shutting down your assembly line is absolutely untenable. So they are putting the hardest squeeze on us you could possibly imagine. Let's go on now to the next slide, and we're going to review your financial investment options. So basically what's happening with XRP is the same thing that's happening with silver. We're about to go into the point where the ETFs are going to kick in, and Jay Klaver says that in a single day, he expects $3 billion to pour into XRP. And what's that going to do? It's going to basically suck up all the available XRP that's out there and create a situation where even if you have the money, you're not going to be able, as a retail investor, to be able to buy XRP. It's not going to be available to you. So if you have the money and want more, buy it now. The same thing with silver. They're going to create a situation where they drive silver up to where we can't afford it. And even if we can afford it, they're going to come in and through these things that we've been talking about, they're going to take what you have. So basically, there were steps in this video that we talked about, and there's more in that video that I referred you to that will tell you how you can protect yourself from confiscation. And then we go on down, and basically this doesn't directly affect the currencies. But as I've talked about before, I think that in particular the dinar and the dong are ready to revalue whenever they decide to throw the switch. And so it's getting late, but there's still an opportunity for you to acquire the dong and acquire the dinar. Let's go to the next slide. And this is from a couple of months ago. So the prices may have changed, but a couple of months ago, the dinar was selling for $763. That bought you 1 million dinar. And they were talking about 7 to 1, but now they've reduced that down, and I'm hearing 4 to 1. So does that sound reasonable? Well, let's analyze it. When we bombed the heck out of Iraq, basically their currency was more valuable than ours. It took 3 Iraqi dinar to buy. $3 US to buy 1 Iraqi dinar. So now, given the situations that exist, I think a four multiplier is more than logical, more than feasible. And in terms of the dong, they're talking about 2 to 1. So basically, the windows are not closed. You can still, for a period of time, buy XRP, buy silver, buy gold, buy currency, but the time is running out. They're closing the door. They're putting a squeeze on us. Let's go to the next slide. And for those who have absolutely almost nothing, I believe God wants to prosper them as well. And there's absolutely no logical reason why what I'm telling you here makes sense to purchase it. I want you to know I'm not a financial advisor, and that goes for the silver, that goes for XRP, that goes for everything. I'm just an historian who looks at data points and gives you what it is. And in this instance, I'm not even looking at data points. I'm looking at the fact that multiple prophets have said that as this comes down, there's going to be a short window where money will fly into Shiba Inu, and it'll go up and spike, and then you have the opportunity to sell it and make some profit that you can put elsewhere. So let's go to the next slide. We're almost done, folks, but I want to leave you with the understanding this is looking a little scary, but at the same time when all of this is happening, basically the conditions are also forming that are going to allow the initiation of Nasara. And for those who really don't understand what Nasara was all about, it goes back to the 1929 era, when basically we were modernizing farms, and the farmers went out and bought tractors and combines, and they went in debt. And then the collapse came, and the banks came and took their tractors, they took their farms, and they filed a lawsuit, and they said, wait a minute, this is not right. That bank just printed money out of thin air. They didn't have any real asset in this transaction, but we had real labor, real work, real land, real tractors. And the Supreme Court decided that the farmers were right, and they judged that it was unconstitutional for the banks to take their property since they did not have any tangible asset in it. That sets the framework for Nasara. So in the midst of all of this, everything is coming together in order to make the transfer of wealth that is going to see us get rid of the Federal Reserve. And Trump has been saying, we're going to go to the external reserve. We're going to go on a gold system that's backed not only by gold, but by silver and by every commodity in the world. That's what they're trying to crush, folks. That's why they have this green scam that they're implementing on us. What we need to do is stand up and understand that we have to have an explosion in energy in order to bring this new technology in, and we have to stand united and stand against the Green New Deal scam. Those solar panels are absolutely the most expensive form of energy you can imagine, and right up there with them are those windmills. There are other technologies that are vastly more important, and in the short run, what Donald Trump says is drill, 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 baby, drill, until we can get those new technologies out and have really, really significant reductions in the cost of energy. Let's go on to the next slide. I always like to close on things that are positive, and this is what happens once Nasara kicks in. Once we stand united and we say, no, we're not going to participate in our own slavery, and we protest and fight back, This is what's going to happen. The financial system is going to collapse. $1.3 trillion is at jeopardy of the banks. And when they lose their money, they lose their power. And when that happens, the financial slavery system collapses and they no longer control inflation or deflation or wage suppression, our stock market manipulation, our boom bust cycles, our national consumer debt, poverty goes away, and we basically stand united. The division goes away, and we have global conflicts that are wiped out. Look at what Trump is doing. He's already negotiated 8 peace settlements. All of this is what God promised us. It's right at the door. But just like always in the Bible, he needs his people to open their eyes. He needs his people to submit. He needs his people to stand united and say no to the forces of evil. It's just like when the Israelites were told, march around the wall for 7 times and blow your horns, and this giant wall that held 3 chariots wide came tumbling down. The miracles, as we call them, are nothing to God. He is staging the platform right now where we can get our freedom back. All we have to do is open up our eyes. I think this next slide might be the last one, and I just want to review. This is what's at stake. If we stand up and we fight back, we'll get our sovereign currency back, our sovereign borders, we'll get honest elections, we'll get resource independence, and we'll get manufacturing prowess where America will once again become the leader in manufacturing. We'll remove the regulatory obstructions that are blocking the building of our manufacturing. We'll get energy independence, equitable trade agreements, global financial parity for all nations. And it was Eisenhower said, is there any man, any woman, any child that doesn't understand the principal cause of war is inequity between nations? All of this is going to be cleaned up and reversed, but it takes us to stand up. And we're going to also get back our First and Second Amendments. We have them supposedly, but they're certainly being trampled on. And shared values and goals, when we see what's been done, we're going to understand that we're not the adversaries to any other individuals out there. It's not a race issue. It's not a wealth issue. It's not a political issue. It's basically them forcing us through the lies that they tell to look at our neighbors as our enemies when the only enemy we have is the global financial elite. So let's go on down to the last and final slide. And I hope you're seeing that with everything that's coming now, you need to have your eyes open. You need to be informed. Your children need to know what's happening. So please, this book was written for this time, for the time when people needed to know what made America great. How are we divided and how are we enslaved? And how do we take it back and how do we keep it? This book was written for this point in history. Please spend the few dollars that are required to purchase this book. And within the next week or so, I'm going to have an announcement as to the release date for my next book, which is entitled Liberty Crusade, Restoring the Republic. So with that, I want to thank you for joining me. Please, please, please subscribe. The things that I'm going to be telling you are going to be very important. I'm going to be diving deep into all the things about the Green New Deal and allowing you to understand how they're going to try to take away our freedom using, quote, unquote, the Green New Deal scam. So with that, thank you. And remember, go find the Asian guy and follow him, because he is the voice of the white hats coming to you in order to keep us aware and alert and make us understand what's happening. So we'll link our arms together and we'll stand united, and we will get back our freedom and our prosperity, and we will have the harvest of souls that God promised would happen. So with that, we'll see you next week.